Hello, my friend. My name is Byron, and I'm from the BJJ Brick Podcast. I want to thank you for checking out the podcast on the YouTube channel here. It's a weekly show dedicated to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and having fun on the mats. Enjoy the show.
Thank you for listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends, to the BJJ Brick Podcast. I'm Joe Thomas, and I'm on the line with my good buddy Gary and my good buddy Byron. How you guys doing this week?
We're having a good time here in Wichita.
How about you, Gary?
I'm always doing good, Joe. This week we have a great episode. Really looking forward to it. We have a special episode with the Twin Cities Invitational. We're going to be talking to Fabio and Steve.
Yeah, they're putting on an event. We'll talk about a lot of other things. If you're not able to go to the event, still listen. You'll still get a lot of information out of this. But if you are near the Twin Cities, yeah, you definitely want to check this out. It's June 9th. It's going to be featuring Chris Howder and Tom DeBlass will be teaching seminars. And then they have a handful, or actually lots, of other people that, honestly, people that could be teaching seminars as well will be doing Superfights, and then they have a concert. It sounds like an amazing time. But yeah, I heard about this. It's an event that's going to support Mission 22 and the We Defy Foundation. I was like, yeah, we should talk about this. So got those guys on here, Fabio and Steve, and really happy to get them on and talk about what they're up to.
And you're speaking of the Superfights, Byron. We have a couple of our previous guests on the Superfights. Brian Marvin, we've had him on a couple times. Always Be Choking, Brian Marvin, and Alan Shabaro. So two of our previous guests are going to be in there. And so definitely it'd be, if you're anywhere near the Twin Cities, this is a place to go. Definitely check out Superfights, the seminar, Chris Howder, Tom DeBlass, and the concert, the furry things. Three quiet dudes playing loud music.
That sounds like a good time.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not three quiet guys, and we also don't play loud music, but we're our three guys who like to podcast about jiu-jitsu and having a good time on and off the mat.
But Byron, you could turn the volume way up on the podcast, and we'd be playing loud podcast.
That's true. I don't want anybody to damage their hearing on my account.
What?
Any more than Gary already has.
Huh?
Well, I went to a Sum 41 concert last night. Felt a little out of place. But
I was gonna say minus 10 to your age, and like you just got negative 10 to added to your age, Joe. So congratulations on becoming a little bit younger.
Well, my kids bought us the tickets, so the fact that my kids will take us to one of their concerts, I'm okay with that.
That's cool.
Joe was down in the mosh pit cleaning everybody up. He was doing work.
Working on my inverted guard.
There you go. Don't get your face stepped on, but I'm sure you did great. Guys, so we have off the mat lessons quite a bit on the show here, and I like to read books, and this isn't really a lesson, but it happened to me. But, I'm reading this book, and it kind of jumped out at me that jiu-jitsu definitely has a place in it. The book is called Anti-Fragile. It's by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. I really enjoyed reading it. It was a little bit different than most of the books I read. But he starts talking about what is the opposite of fragile. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, you're going to get this wrong, but you tell me, what is the opposite of fragile?
I'd say well constructed.
Gary, do you have anything different?
I would say strong base.
Yeah, like robust. That's kind of what I was thinking. All along the same lines. Actually, the opposite of fragile is something that if you rough it up a little bit, it gets stronger. And there's not a word that fits this definition. But so like that's the opposite. Because if you rough something up that's fragile, it breaks. But if you rough something up that's anti-fragile, it actually becomes stronger. And then I'm like, okay, what fits this criteria? Well, the book has tons of stuff, like your bones. Like if you lift heavy weights and that sort of thing, your bone density gets better. Same thing with muscle, and fasting will make your system a little stronger. Actually, your lungs are anti-fragile. If you take deep
Byron,
breaths and expand them and kind of do a little bit of damage, like they'll heal and they'll be stronger. What's up, Gary?
Okay, you're just saying a little bit of damage because I was just sitting there thinking if I just sit there and take my muscles and beat them with a hammer, I don't think it's going to make it stronger.
When you work out, you're actually causing little tiny
You're breaking it down.
damage.
Yeah,
and then when it heals, it's stronger. Just think about your feet are anti-fragile. Like if you, I basically am walking around with shoes. If I'm not in my house, I have shoes on. But if I were to occasionally walk around barefoot, the skin on my feet would become anti-fragile as, I'm stepping on things that are uncomfortable, and you know what, they're going to toughen up, and they're going to be a lot stronger, in the long run. And so, I think that's an easy example would be feet. Bacteria is another one. You don't want to be on antibiotics all the time because the bacteria, a lot of them die, but some of them live, and ultimately it'll be a lot stronger. Those are just a few examples that the book talked about. And it talked about political systems and a bunch of other things. Pretty neat book. But really, jiu-jitsu is that way. If you're basically, when you're struggling and you're having a difficult role, you're actually getting better at jiu-jitsu. And so to think of your learning system in jiu-jitsu as anti-fragile, as when it's not going well, it is still helping you get better at jiu-jitsu. I thought it was kind of a neat concept. He didn't mention any martial arts in the book or anything like that, but I just thought, jiu-jitsu, when you train, you should be anti-fragile. You shouldn't be getting injuries, but just like training with somebody who's better than you, that's pushing you, is making you significantly better at jiu-jitsu. And so that just reminded me of that, and I thought it was something I would share with you guys. The book's called Anti-Fragile. Check it out. It's something kind of neat. It shouldn't be hard to find, but it just kind of reminded me of jiu-jitsu when I was reading that.
Yeah, we always talk about how you learn things on the mats that you take out into real life, and one of those things is to be able to deal with your ego. We talk about leaving ego at the door, but that's kind of a misnomer. What we really mean is to have a strong and healthy ego. Everybody has an ego, and so I'm thinking that's how your ego grows as well. When you come in and you get demolished by the guy that's 40 pounds lighter than you and 20 years younger than you, and your ego gets tested a little bit, and you can either have a fragile ego and always be broke down, or you can be using those experiences to grow, and that will certainly help you off the mat. You don't want to be a guy walking around at work who's always feeling threatened, and you got an ego that you're always having to defend.
And Joe, like what your point you're bringing up too is, we as training partners need to realize that when we've put a working, we've worked over one of our people, and we hear that their ego is down, or they're feeling bad about themselves. They're like, oh man, I'm terrible. Joe just beat me up for 20 minutes straight and I never even got anything going. We need to, cheer them up at that point and say, hey man, you're getting better. You're out there on the mat. You got heart, you got guts. You're not quitting. You're getting better. And that was one of the things when I first started, even though I tried to leave my ego at the door, I would come in and just get throttled. And Byron, you were one of the people who always picked me up and, always made me, feel that I was getting better when I didn't feel like I was, and kept me with it.
Yeah,
and
that was that was very hard to actually do that and deceive you and make you think you were doing that.
Like, oh, I had to work harder that time to armbar you. You're getting better.
Hey, the best compliment I ever got from Byron is one day he told me he took a private lesson with a black belt when there were no black belts in town to learn how to defend my Kimura. I was like,
that's
yes.
Awesome.
I still can't defend
But now I hear that Byron probably just made that up because he's just he's using reverse psychology.
No, I do remember we're talking about. I did take a seminar, and it was really how to escape north-south, because that's where you're Kimuring me from, and it didn't really help. But,
well,
lessons
if I remember
learned.
right, you said, hey, I need to learn how to escape north-south. How do I do that? And you were told, don't get in that position.
Yeah, which is the easy answer, especially if your escapes aren't that good. But, man, I sure would have appreciated an answer. Maybe even just like, hey, I don't really have a good escape. Let's see if we can find you one. But I didn't get an answer. And that's how sometimes some things go. I guess it was a private lesson, not a seminar. But anyway, that's how it happens. Sometimes you go to try to learn a lesson and it doesn't work out for you. I have a lesson that I hope works out for you if you're in your first year of BJJ. I've got an audiobook for you that might help you out, especially if you're just like thinking about doing jiu-jitsu, man, I want to get you off to the right track and get you going in the right direction so you can jump over those hurdles and not just knock them down like Gary and I were doing. And I might have been making Gary's hurdles a little bit higher and telling him that they were shorter. I don't know. But it's an audiobook. It's $11.99. The money goes and helps keep the show going strong. Everything from finding the right gym to ultimately doing a tournament and really what to expect and how to get the most out of your tournament if that's something that you want to do. It's a little over 2 hours and 30 minutes long. And you check it out, especially if you're in your first year of training and you enjoy listening to jiu-jitsu audio. And I'd be happy to help you out.
Hey, we always talk about growing jiu-jitsu and getting people to come and train jiu-jitsu. I think we should give a shout out to all the new people that just started. And I know, Joe, you're a perfect example. You brought somebody to jiu-jitsu the other day. And I think every time that, maybe we get somebody new who comes, or if one of our listeners wants to put something on our page, give a shout out to somebody who just started. But Joe, tell us a little bit of a story about you got somebody to train for the first time here the other day.
Yeah, I brought my friend Todd Rodriguez to train with us. He's been one of my son's best friends for about 15 years now. They went to junior high and high school together, served in the Army together, and I got him on the mats. And a good time was had by one of us, but I think he'll come back anyway. So
no,
he's a good kid, and I love to see good kids on the mat, and we had a good time.
Yeah, it's just awesome, spreading jiu-jitsu to other people and letting people try it. And, that's all we can do is, expose people to jiu-jitsu. And the more people we expose to it, the more the sport's going to grow.
Yeah, it's, you kind of hint at maybe some frustration on his side or a little bit of struggles. And I think it's important to have those conversations with the new players that really expected to be able to do more before they got there. And I see it every week or two. Somebody is physically gifted and they come in and jiu-jitsu's hard for them. And the easy conversation that the example I like to bring up to them is it's kind of like hockey. You're not just going to be good at hockey because you're strong or you're fast. There's a lot of other things. It's a skill-based activity.
Yeah, you're going to have to learn how to skate.
Yeah. I can't skate worth anything. I can't skate backwards, if that tells you anything. I have been on ice skates before, and I can go forward and make the turn, but I can't lift anybody up. I can't box while the skates are on me. I can't box without the skates anyway. So.
But you can pull guard.
I could try. That would probably look ugly too.
But
there are a lot of
a wicked spider guard.
Got a blade guard. But there are a lot of sub skills in hockey with controlling the puck and shooting and passing and placement of where you are, where the puck's going to be, all these little things. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. And just because you're strong or you're fast or you've done this before you got here, those will help you. But right now, you need to work on learning jiu-jitsu. I need to work on learning how to skate. I need to learn on how to pass the puck or receive the puck or take a shot or, when somebody's going to fight me because I checked them too hard or something. There's a lot of little skills. And I like hockey as an example because it's easy to understand. Just because you're big and strong, you're not going to be good at hockey. Just because you're big and strong, you're not going to be good at jiu-jitsu when you walk in the door because you don't know the skills behind it. And I think that kind of takes their expectations down a little bit and helps them like deal with like kind of sucking at jiu-jitsu for a little while because they will get better. Yeah. And those attributes they bring are going to be great. But right now, they're not really helping.
Yeah. Man, I saw something really cool Friday night in class. That's the first time I've seen the coach do this, but I guess he's been doing it for a few weeks now. On Friday nights, it's competition training, and it's pretty much just a lot of rolling, not a lot of instruction. But he divided the room in half, and he said, everybody that wants to start rolling, start over here, and everybody that wants to do some drills first, start over here. And we had 3 or 4 new guys, like they're within their first month or 6 weeks, and they all opted to go over and drill. And I thought, boy, whatever coach has been telling them, it's working because you don't see that too often. They just want to roll. They just want to fight. But these guys definitely understood that they need to develop some skills first.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good way to, help the newcomers. And another good way is like you, Joe, you welcome him in there, you bring him in, you introduce him to people. And then Joe was even nice enough not to put him in any arm bars or hurt his arms because the guy's actually doing some free electrical work for Joe and he didn't want him to get hurt. So good job, Joe.
Yeah, that was Todd. I made sure and was careful not to put him out of commission.
But yeah, I just think that if you know somebody who just started or whatever, send us a message on our Facebook page. Just say, hey, give a shout out to that person. I think that'll be a cool little thing to just let everybody know. Thanks for starting. We'd like to celebrate it.
Absolutely.
Yep, the most important belts you'll ever get in jiu-jitsu is the white one, because without it, there's nothing else.
Start this long journey that some have compared to a marathon, which is a race. And Gary, you know who knows a thing or two about racing?
I would say Bill Shoemaker.
That's right. Bill Shoemaker is a world-renowned jockey. Had some records. The best thing about him is he's a Texas native, born in Fabines, Texas.
Wow.
But he's the one who has provided our quote for this episode. And he said, when you're riding, only the race in which you are riding is important. So I think you can make some correlations between that and jiu-jitsu. I think there's a time to be focused on what's right in front of you and not worried about everything else. If you're going to a tournament, you're worried about the first opponent and not spending too much time thinking about the next guy and the next guy. What do you think, Gary?
I think this quote is great. And like what you're saying there is the good thing about jiu-jitsu is I don't care who you are, you can get beat. And when you've got that arm wrapped around somebody's throat and you've got your hands locked or whatever, it is very, very hard to get out. And, somebody can be so much better than the other person, make one mistake and it's over. So if I'm so much better than, let's say Byron and Joe's already in the finals and the next one of us who wins this match is getting in the finals. And also I'm thinking about is, hey, I got Joe next. I'm really scared. Joe's got that paralyzing top game. I need to start thinking about how to get out of that. But I haven't finished my work with Byron. I'm going to make a mistake and Byron's going to put me to sleep. We have to concentrate on the match, the race that we're in. That's the most important thing to us right then and there.
Yeah, and we actually get into this a little bit with the interview as far as how good jiu-jitsu is at distracting you from things that are off the mat. So something in your real life is bothering you. When you're rolling, the rolling part is important, and it's actually hard to distract yourself with your things that are bothering you because somebody is trying to choke you or submit you or pass your guard, and you've got to concentrate and work on that. It requires not just physical exertion but mental draw from you to perform well on the mat, and your mind can't wander very easily before you start messing up. And that's good. I mean, that's good for just, concentrate on what you're doing. And also, for a tournament, it could be very intimidating. There could be thousands of people there. Really? You don't have to roll with thousands of people. You got a couple of, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches, and you're probably done. If you're lucky to have that many matches. And don't worry about everybody else. Don't worry about the guy that is warming up that looks super good or that you've heard of that you don't even know if he's in your division or not. It's hard to go to a tournament and not look at people that, like, do I have a match with this person? Don't worry about it. If you don't know, you'll know when they're standing across from them, and that'll be your person that you're competing with.
Byron, you talked about jiu-jitsu taking your mind off your everyday worries, and I got to tell you that from the minute I walk in the door till the minute I leave, I honestly don't think I think about anything other than jiu-jitsu. And I've been aware sometimes when I've got stuff going on in life that it's like a 2-hour reprieve from life's problems. And Gary, wouldn't you say that that's maybe the best thing about jiu-jitsu?
In all reality, that and the camaraderie, which also takes my mind off, is the best thing about jiu-jitsu. Is I forget about anything I have going on in life, which, sometimes there's stressors and we make them out worse than they are. But boy, I can go to jiu-jitsu, spend, an hour, 2 hours rolling, and I forget about everything else. And even when I come home, I don't think about it. I'm on such a high, and it just changes my whole mentality. It just makes me that much happier for the rest of the day. And, I'm lucky I've got a very supportive wife, and she understands me really well. Like, she'll see times where I'll come home from work and I'm in a bad mood, and it may not be a day to roll, but she'll see that I'm kind of upset or agitated, and she'll be like, hey, Gary, go roll, get to the gym, go lift weights, go ride your bike, and it just does wonders for me. It's probably going to put 10 years on my life, just how much it's relaxed me and made me learn how to relax.
Yeah, that's a great part about jiu-jitsu.
Hey, I was thinking about, we had Bill Shoemaker, the jockey, but I was thinking about one of my training partners, and him there, Byron, Mike. And Mike is this little, probably 5'5" guy. When I say little, though,
he's not little.
He's built like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Like a fire plug, yeah.
Yeah, his arms are like just gigantic and, just a really muscular guy. But what was funny is he'd been rolling probably 40 years, and Mike is the farthest person, would you say, from a cowboy, like a real life cowboy, Byron? But he decided to sign up for a bronco busting school. What do you call those things where you ride the bull riding school? He signed up for a bull riding school. And, Mike shows up and it's like a 2 or 3 day thing, and you actually get on bulls and everything. And everybody was from like Oklahoma and has cowboy hats on and cowboy boots and chaps, drives a truck. Mike drives a little Chevy sedan, doesn't even have cowboy hat or cowboy boots. He shows up, and the crazy thing is Mike said he rode better than everybody else. And he attributed to the jiu-jitsu. He's always on top of somebody and the guy's bucking, and he learned how to, squeeze his legs together, learned his balance. And I just thought that was crazy when Mike told me he went to that and did better than all the other prospective bull riders. And he did attribute it to his jiu-jitsu.
Mike is crazy.
Yeah.
I can't. I had no idea he did that. That's impressive.
Yeah. He. The bad thing was he got so beat up, like he had bruises everywhere. Like every time I tried to pass his guard, he'd be like because there'd be like a big bruise or whatever. But yeah, he's got more guts than I do.
Yeah, if you want me to try a mechanical bull on a padded surface, I'll give that a go. But I'm not getting anywhere near a 2,000 or 3,000 pound animal that wants to crush me.
Yeah, that is crazy. But I just thought it was crazy that, how jiu-jitsu helped him so much. Like, I figured he'd go in and be the worst one there by far, and never thought he would be the best one. Well, at least that's what he's telling me. He could have been lying to me.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
That's one way to spend a Saturday. Another way to spend another way to spend a Saturday is on the mats. It would be June 9th with the Twin Cities Invitational, the Iron Axe event. Seminar and Superfights in concert. Here comes our interview with Steve and Fabio.
He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
When he was troubled with a slow Wi-Fi connection, he threatened to disqualify the service provider. After that, his high-speed connection was restored. He then streamed the Worlds from the comfort of Chuck Norris's living room. Chuck never knew that he was there, but he did enjoy a faster internet connection. When he is stuck in a traffic jam, he manages to keep rolling, just very slow. This is what he considers to be his slow roll time.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJ Brick podcast. Stay sweaty, my friends.
All right, my friends, I'm happy to bring Steve Norwick and Fabio Morescalchi to the BJJ Brick podcast. Fabio, I hope I didn't mess up your last name too bad.
No, it's good.
All right. I'm really happy to bring you guys on. We're going to talk about community building and a project you guys have going on, the Twin Cities Invitational. But if you wouldn't mind each taking a couple minutes and introducing yourself, kind of who you are on the mat and off the mat to the audience.
This is Fabio, and I'm a black belt under Chris McCune. I'm owner of Akagi Jiu-Jitsu here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And that's on the mat. I enjoy coaching. That's on the mat. I enjoy, the coaching, the jiu-jitsu, all that sort of stuff. Off the mat, like most people, I've got a day job that we're working on. Just like anybody else. And then Steve.
Yeah, I'm Steve Norwick. I'm blue belt under Fabio, and off the mats, I'm a sound engineer and musician.
All right. And Fabio, how long have you been training?
About 27 years. So it's started way back in Oregon in garages when people still had the Gracie tapes. And were saying, you watch the video, now you move buttocks over here, and you walk 5 times over. It was painfully boring, but that's all we had. So that's where I started, and eventually worked my way over here to, through Straight Blast gyms under Matt Thornton, got my blue belt under Chris Howder, worked my way over here to Minnesota. And then black belt under Chris McCune, Hegan Machado black belt. So I've been doing it quite a while, and it's just the thing that makes sense in life.
Wow! So you were really early on the start of jiu-jitsu for the United States.
Pretty early, yeah. It was good. I mean, wish I had a few years more before that, but it was nobody had a clue what was going on, and everybody. It's like jiu-jitsu. You put a guy between your legs. But yeah, pretty early on, and it's just stuck with me ever since.
And Steve, I know that a lot of times when people are doing jiu-jitsu, they get to about that blue belt level, and they have the passion for jiu-jitsu, and they see how much it benefits people. Have you seen that for yourself or any of your teammates on the mat?
That's why I keep coming in every day. I mean, I get to see a transformation within myself, my fellow mat rats, and even my wife, because she started training not too long ago either. And I think I've just been getting addicted to the progress I've been making physically and mentally, understanding and knowing that just being able to exercise the patterns that you do in jiu-jitsu, you can kind of apply a lot of those lessons into life, and you get pretty decent feedback from it.
Now, you guys are putting on the Iron and Axe event. It's really focused on community building through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What was the main idea with this?
The main idea, well, some of the things that I've kind of gone through in my life have just kind of rung in my ear, even through my training. And I realize that with training, I get to work a lot of that crap out. But then I also realize that a lot of those lessons and maybe the decisions that weren't so great in my life that I made still impacted me to make me who I am. And I think people need to figure out how to like themselves and how to be proud of themselves for the hard work that they do, despite any garbage, before them. And so I started really paying attention to, the jiu-jitsu scene, and especially the combat vets that were out there. And something that I noticed in particular was how combat vets were struggling after being in war and coming back home to civilian life. And I've even have a few friends that have committed suicide coming back and not being able and learn how to cope with things. And so with that being said, I've realized that A, you have to appreciate your experience, and B, you kind of have to learn how to balance and cope with your experiences a little bit too. They have a lot of camaraderie overseas, or I suppose we don't have much war on our own side. We don't have much war on our own soil, right? But when you're over there and you are put through these extreme situations, you come back and there's nothing there like that. I think people have a hard time dealing with themselves, not having that stimulus. I also see that in athletics, college sports, high school sports. When you grew up in a small town and you play football or something, like I did, and you don't go on to play football in college, and all of a sudden you don't have that camaraderie of a team anymore. And people really get buried into that sometimes, with depression and not learning how to cope. So BJJ is an excellent tool to kind of work all that crap out.
And, along with the camaraderie, there's the connectedness. They have a built-in support network. And then when coming back here, all of a sudden a lot of that can be gone, and feeling alone sucks. And trying to establish something to where you feel connected to others that want to support you, and all they want is what's best for you on the mats. I think is something that can really help build, give somebody that network that they were originally missing.
And that's what we've been trying to do with organizing this event. So we're trying to provide kind of an understanding and even an outlet for people to really come together and talk about their experiences, to have fun, to learn more about jiu-jitsu, and then to really enjoy themselves at the end of the night.
Yeah, so is this event targeted basically at anybody doing jiu-jitsu, or is it specifically geared towards helping people that are having some tough times off the mat?
It's for everybody, right? And I feel like the reason why we are bringing, organizations in like We Defy, and Mission 22 is that they really look at the extremes, like combat and war. That's a very extreme situation. And really the only people that can truly understand that are the people that have gone through those similar situations. But everybody dynamically can have their own experiences and still, somewhat have at least, like a varying degree of the same thing. And so I feel like we put out there what is the extreme representation, but then everybody falls somewhere into that spectrum. And we all benefit the same way by building that camaraderie and practicing the art of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Fabio, having so much experience on the mats, can you help me out to understand maybe with some of the stuff you've seen of what about jiu-jitsu helps people function better off the mats?
When you get on there, whether it's, whether you're a police officer, a firefighter, an ambulance person, a tax accountant, a school teacher, you have all this stuff that builds up, and most folks don't have a way to decompress that. They don't have a way to just let that all out. So what happens is they go home, they get frustrated, and it just keeps adding on and on and on. That time that you're able to get onto the mats, you just have to be there. For that is, one is you have to focus. Two, the instructor's going to yell at you, and and then you've got people trying to choke you. So you have to be present in what's going on, and for that little bit of time that you're on the mats, everything else has to be put away. You have to be present, and you have to be there, or bad things happen. And it could be, you screw something up, you weren't paying attention, you didn't tap in time, all of a sudden you get hurt. Whatever it is, you have to be aware of what's going on. Are you going to run into somebody rolling around? You have to be aware of your surroundings, a person who's trying to do something to you, or you have a task and a goal to accomplish during that time. And it just lets you be away from everything else. It just lets you, take that crappy ass day that you just had, your boss yelled at you, all your files at work just imploded, and it's like, what, this is going to take me hours to deal with. I'm going to get on the mat and I'm going to just leave it all out there. So having that physical exertion, that mental exertion directed somewhere else is hugely beneficial. It allows you to just decompress for a while and not think about it. Yeah,
that's awesome to hear. It sounds basically like it takes your brain off of something that it's, you get up a problem in your life, whether it's your files got deleted at work, or you're struggling to reconnect with the community, or to feel like you're part of something, and it makes your brain think about something else because it has to think about this. Because although you might not be in a life and death struggle, someone's choking you, your brain feels like this is a big deal. And sure, you can tap, but you can't be thinking about, your taxes are due, or, any other problems you might have with somebody, because you have to think about the guy sitting on top of you trying to choke you with a cross choke from mount or something. Like it requires your brain. It's not, I think it's with some sports, like, I don't know, like running or cycling, part of being good at that is you do check out mentally, and you let time slip, and you push yourself, and you don't realize how long and how you kind of zone out. There's no zoning out in jiu-jitsu, and that does help us deal with things that are bothering us.
And because it's hard to be like Eeyore and just lay out there, go ahead and just choke me. It kicks in. All of a sudden you realize, I don't like being choked. I don't like being armbarred. And it pulls it out of you that you have to be active and engage and fight back and do something to deal with that situation. Where a lot of times people just go home, especially, if they don't have a support network, then, they start thinking in their head all the time. They're just ruminating all the time in there by themselves. And then things just start to get worse. On the mat, you have the ability to start to deal and face with those situations. And then that starts to translate to your daily life of like, I'm in a crappy place. I can fight out of this. I can get back to it. I think that's a big part of why it's so engaging, is it provides that avenue to deal with something, to face what's crappy in life.
Yeah, what you do matters on the mat and off the mat. If you give up on the mat, it's going to really affect what's happening. If you're fighting for things and working hard on the mat, it's going to have an effect on the outcome of the person you're rolling with. Same thing in life. You've got to work towards some things, and you can get some pretty amazing things accomplished. Looking at the event, the Iron and Axe event is going to be June 9th. Looks like the seminar, Superfights, music. Is that all right? That sounds like a big thing going on.
Absolutely. We're trying to cram as much as we can into a full day. Hard work.
Let's start with looking at the seminars. What's going on? Who's teaching those?
Well, we've got the man, Chris Howder. So he's going to be coming out, and if you haven't gone to one of his seminars, they're just fun. Not only do you get great information, he presents it really well, so you always remember it. It's just a hoot to be around the guy. He's just an entertaining guy. Lots of stories. And then we've also got Tom DeBlas. and anybody who's been around knows who he is. And just both accomplished world-class guys that are going to be bringing great information and be able to present that. And I haven't met him yet, Tom yet. I've just spoken with him by phone and by text. And especially since the scope of the event, then just another seminar being put on that we're trying to do. He's just been an amazing guy to deal with, very open to stuff, just say, hey, here's what's going on, all this. And just such a nice guy to deal with. It's just been a pleasure. I can't wait to actually meet him in person.
Yeah, Chris Howder, a legend in jiu-jitsu, especially here in the United States, and Tom DeBlas is currently one of the top competitors, and super nice guy. Have them both on Facebook, and always seeing what Tom's up to, and he's always doing the right thing. It seems like, something will happen, and look what Tom's standing up for the small person, the small guy, helping somebody out. He's always he just seems like a good person to have in our sport community. Yeah, they're both good guys. That's true. But yeah, it sounds like an amazing time as far as the seminars go. What do you guys have lined up for the Superfights?
We have a whole bunch. I'm trying to pull up a list right now just so we can kind of read the names off. So I'm not missing anybody.
Let's see. we wanted to do, one of the things we wanted to do was also represent women in jiu-jitsu. Just because their matches are awesome, they're fantastic, and they don't get the showtime that they deserve. So reached out to Hannette Stack, and she's sending over a couple of her black belts, Kristen Martin and Kristen Mickelson. We've got, Melissa Bentley from Renato Tavares in Florida. A friend of mine, Silo Radovsky, coming out from Jiu-Jitsu Dynamics in Washington. This way, we give them the showtime that they deserve and represent, and be able to say, hey, it's not just a guy show out here. It's not a sausage fest. We want them to be represented. We want that to be something where it's like, we want it to reach a bigger crowd than just the jiu-jitsu community.
Yeah, that you do have quite a nice list of names on there. I see my friend Brian Marvin is showing up to compete. He's been on the show multiple times, and I've had. I trained with Brian back when he's a white belt, and he quickly took to the sport naturally, and he became quite the beast very quickly. And now he's on a whole different level. It's impressive. And Brian taught a seminar here, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, and he just showed some really cool stuff. And I know he competes as much as he can, and it'll be fun to see him roll. Great list of competitors. You are bringing people in from kind of all over the country. Is that by design, to kind of get more people involved?
Yeah, so basically what we wanted to do is instead of drawing from the local pool of really talented people here in Minnesota and the Midwest, because they'll see each other in tournaments all the time locally, is we wanted to bring in talent. We've got folks from all over the United States coming in. So part of it is I didn't want the guys competing with each other against here. I wanted them to have a chance to compete with talent from all over, partly to show what they can do, but also to grow the community as a whole and really expand jiu-jitsu just outside a small circle. I mean, we've got guys like Robert DeFranco, Alan Chavarro, Gustavo Banzai Bessa, Ben Lenny from Brazilian Top Team. We've got from Oregon, Robert Wolf from Five Rings Jiu-Jitsu. Another local guy is Ryan Potterbaum, and out of Spartan, Roland Larson of Hybrid Jiu-Jitsu, or martial arts in Monticello. So Texas, California, Iowa, Washington, Oregon, so all over the place. And if you include New Jersey with, I believe that's where Mr. Glass is from. Yep. He won't be competing. He's just doing the seminar, so don't get all... but this way, I mean, we're really pulling from all over the place to really try and grow this community.
That is awesome. I really urge everybody to go look at the list of competitors on there, and I'm impressed by this. Just from a strictly selfish point of view, are you guys going to put this online, like stream the matches or anything like that?
So we were toying with the idea of streaming, but I think it's just a little too early in our development to go that distance. But we are going to be capturing it.
Good.
And we will most likely put it online, like on YouTube or something, for viewing pleasure after the event is already done.
That's awesome to hear, and we'll be looking forward to seeing that. I guess we got to go. Usually I talk about this at the end, but you have a YouTube channel set up or Facebook page that we should go and follow you guys at?
Yeah, we do have YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all at TCI BJJ. You use that tag and it'll pop us up somewhere.
Awesome. And we'll I'll put links to those as well. That way, when you do release those videos, if you're not able to go to the actual event, you can at least see what's happening there, and that would be really cool for everybody to enjoy and to watch those cool matches and see what's happening there. The thing that you don't usually see is a concert going with seminars and super fights. So what's going on with the concert?
I suppose that's a little bit of my influence. being a musician, sound engineer, I just realized playing out so often in my life, there's such a good opportunity for people to get together, let their inhibitions go, and hang out and bond through music. And also, a really weird thing that I noticed when I started training was, I'd be rolling with somebody, and then we'd start talking, and then all of a sudden the topic of music would come up. And, I would say, yeah, I'm a guitar player, and they're like, oh, I'm a drummer, or I'm a this and that. And I didn't realize, but there was about 5 or 6 people that played instruments on the mat at the time. And I started, as I grow in jiu-jitsu, I realized there's a lot of creative intersections between music and jiu-jitsu. I feel like the more I train jiu-jitsu, the better my playing and music gets, and vice versa. There's a lot of you start working these creative pathways in your mind, and it directly reflects into your music. And I think there's a lot of people that feel the same. And so I wanted to throw a concert at the end of it, just because it was like, this would be a really good opportunity for, you start with a seminar, you pay attention, you take it serious, and you learn. Then you watch the super fights. You get inspired. You get to see high-level jiu-jitsu, and you get to talk with your peers. And then you get to see a concert, and that's when you can probably drink a little bit and really just loosen up at the end of the night well, and put a period at the end of it.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome event. And this is June 9th, and this kind of starts in the afternoon and goes all day, doesn't it?
Yep. So we start about 2:30, and then we go until 10:45.
Now, it's really cool that you guys have been able to partner up with people from Mission 22 and We Defy Foundation, 2 great organizations, and they're really helping people adjust to life off the mats, and really get into jiu-jitsu and getting the most out of both. How has that been?
It's been great. I mean, we've been following and supporting Mission 22 for a couple of years now, and then I reached out to the We Defy guys, and I said, "Hey, we're doing this. Would you be interested?" And they've been great about this whole thing. So I've been dealing with Joey Bozic and Alan Shabaro, and then primarily Julia Gumpert from Mission 22. So again, 2 great organizations, but they've just been really nice to deal with. They do so much to try and help and give back, and that's one of the things that we want to do with this event, is have a give back component to it, and so not only to the veterans, but be able to present that to just people as like, hey, come check out what jiu-jitsu can do for you.
Yeah, that is awesome, and it's just great to see the community kind of coming together and supporting everybody. And like you said, you could be somebody who's been through combat and have a lot of stress, or you could just be somebody who's having a hard time, or you could be bullied at school, and then you find these great benefits of getting on the mat, hanging out with your friends, getting the good rolls in, and it's really can be very therapeutic for anybody.
Yeah, the concepts are the same. It doesn't matter where you fall on that spectrum. And if you pay attention and if you really listen to yourself, I think anybody could really manage to navigate through that dark water.
You mentioned a little bit about Chris Howder teaching seminars and how fun that is. Give me like a little bit of example of what to expect for a Chris Howder seminar. I've never been to one.
I mean, it's kind of hard to explain because you kind of got to be there. He's got a present. He also makes it fun, right? He's not very serious. He's not kind of dry. He's for sure never boring. I've never been to a seminar or engaged with him where he's boring. So he's definitely got one hell of a persona as he's teaching. But the thing is, he's having fun doing it. He's presenting the information. I mean, God, he's done so many of these. he's got to have fun. So he goes out there and he presents it, and pretty much I've used at least one or two things from his seminars over the last 20 whatever years, and to be able to use something from every seminar that you've gone to see from someone, that means they're presenting good quality stuff. So it's not just the flash thing, it's not just the latest craze or whatever in jiu-jitsu or whatnot. He gives you good practical stuff that really works, and I put it to use every day. So for me, that says a lot, and that's just really good quality jiu-jitsu right there. It's really doesn't do him justice to say what you can expect, because it's a Howder event.
He'll definitely make an impact. Just how he frames techniques verbally, it's really digestible information, and he's so damn entertaining that you can't help but to remember what he's telling you.
That sounds really cool. And Fabio, having learned from him so much, has that affected the way you teach jiu-jitsu?
Oh, totally. I was lucky enough to, when I was back in the straight blast days, I was lucky enough for him to be the black belt that got brought into Oregon, because Oregon didn't have anything. So even from that time, I still remember some of the drills and things that he showed us back then. But also the philosophy that he has behind his jiu-jitsu is basically you're learning jiu-jitsu to fight, right? It's not about the points and all that. Yeah, you compete and all this. That's great. But you're learning jiu-jitsu because it's martial art. Whatever you want out of it, that's what it boils down to. So even though we do all the cool, fun things and all that, that's kind of steered my mind to, in the back of your head, somewhere, hiding back there, should be a little voice saying, it's a fight, which that's what jiu-jitsu is. So it's definitely made an impact in how I think about it mentally and all that. Even when I'm having fun, flow roll, play a roll, trying the berimbolos and all that sort of stuff. That's just in the gym. I'd never do that in competition. But, so it's definitely affected in that sense of why you're doing this, why you're learning this. And just having that mentality in the back of your head just makes a huge difference.
If you don't train jiu-jitsu and you're hearing this, one guy coming in, having so much fun, being such a character, an enjoyable person, and then also it's a fight, is playing as the overall theme. It could be confusing, but those two things on the mats do combine, and people fight very hard, and they laugh, and they have a lot of fun, and they enjoy the camaraderie like we've talked about, and that's just it would sound weird if you don't train.
It would, but people come in and they see this, and people talk about the sport so much that it's easy to forget that you're learning a martial art. And a martial art, it has a purpose. You're learning how to fight. The rest is all the fun stuff. You get to train, play, have a good time, make jokes, all that sort of stuff. And the whole fight aspect, it can be, if you're into MMA or want to fight professionally, or that's what you want to be, you can focus on that. Or it can be completely the opposite and have the sport aspect. Because the sport aspect's great. You get someone who trains jiu-jitsu, and you still put them out there, they're going to do usually pretty well against somebody in a one-on-one street fight, for the most part. Would depend, I guess. Because, you get to learn this body control, this awareness, all that sort of thing. So there's a lot of benefits to all of that. But that's just my take is, why I'm learning it is I want to be able to provide this to people and have them have the confidence. If something were to happen, first try and de-escalate and get out of there, because I don't want you fighting. but then if you have to, it's like I want them to have that confidence that they have an avenue that hopefully they can take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with the event and with the goal of community building, it's gonna be a very big event. Are you guys donating some money somewhere, or is there anybody you're supporting?
Yep, absolutely. So we have promised proceeds, a percentage of proceeds going to We Defy and Mission 22. Given that we break even and plus with the event, because we are putting a lot of resources in this of our own, and because we really do believe in it, and I think with anything worthwhile, it deserves to go all in. So we hope that it's going to be a successful event, and we hope to inspire people, but mostly with the concept of altruism and really wanting to give back. We are leaving it open for people to make donations through the website to Mission 22 and We Defy, and we will be offering a percentage of our profits to both those organizations.
Absolutely. If you're listening and let's say you're somewhere else or you're not able to attend and you do want to support the Iron and Axe event, you can still do that online and really help this event be a big success.
Yes, support.
Yeah, it's great to see what you guys are doing there. So tell me a little bit about the community locally there, like jiu-jitsu there in the Twin Cities.
It's been growing. It's about 16 years ago. There was, maybe a couple schools that had any jiu-jitsu going on. The Academy with Greg Nelson, and maybe a couple others. But over the last 16 years or so, it's finally getting to the point where we have, a good bunch of schools now. That can still grow. We've got great talent that's coming in. The guys from, not only the Academy, Akagi Jiu-Jitsu, self-plug, there we go. But we've got Ryo Jitsu, there's, Next Level, there's St. Paul Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's so many coming out, Chris McCune's martial arts, Bellum. So, I mean, it's growing, and what's kind of been really great seeing is back in the old school days, and I had more heard about it from guys like Chris and Chris Hutter and some of the others, is back in the days is you really weren't supposed to go and train at other gyms. It's that was frowned upon. The instructor got all pissy, and or you could only go to the places that you trained or something like that. We started having a good vibe here where a lot of the gyms are open to having guests coming in. We'll have a lot of shared mats, like open mats, and we'll have people coming in from, all sorts of places. Our grand opening, we had people from, all over Wisconsin, Monticello. We had about a dozen gyms represented, and 80 people there coming in to support our place that opened. So it's really great to see that it's losing a lot of the machismo BS that separated a lot of the gyms from way back. When I started doing it, I had that same thing. I was like, no, you can't go to that gym. You'll show my stuff. I got friends there. Of course I'm going to go there because they're my friends. I won't show them it, but it'll come out when we're rolling. So either ways, and it took a long time for that to kind of start going away. So that's what I've been enjoying about seeing what's happening with the community here in the Midwest, and how it's been more accepted to be able to go to different places and train. So yeah, we've got a great bunch of people here in Minnesota and the Midwest and Wisconsin and all that. So good bunch.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And as it's growing, it's good to hear that more places are popping up and expanding jiu-jitsu. I think that some people get frustrated with the idea that there's so many people available to jiu-jitsu in a certain city, and if a gym opens up, they're going to take a certain percentage of those people. But really, when you live in a city with so many people, hundreds of thousands of people, it's more about introducing jiu-jitsu to people who don't know about it, and getting more people to try jiu-jitsu and do jiu-jitsu, and the population as a whole will grow. Because, surely anybody can do jiu-jitsu. It's definitely not for everybody. If you try it and it sucks and you don't like it, people are getting sweaty and you don't like somebody touching you, it's not going to be for you. But if you give it a try and you like it, fantastic. You know, you're there. You go. You have jiu-jitsu now. But so many people never even try it, and never get exposed to it, and getting more people to start, you know, organizations, clubs, gyms, whatever. It really makes the pie bigger. And you're not trying to get a bigger piece of the pie. The pie is getting bigger, and more people are training. And it sounds like that's what's happening. I know that's happening here where I'm from. And yeah,
like you said, it's definitely not for everybody. It's available to everybody to try, but it's definitely something that will draw certain types of people in. And by that I mean just people who really connect with the type of push that it provides. You know, it's but it will test. It will test you.
Yeah, you may walk into a place and feel like, oh, that wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. Try another place. I mean, that's the beauty of having multiple places. It might just be the feeling of like the atmosphere of that gym wasn't really for you. You know, I would guess, Fabio, the gym that you started in was a bit rougher, a bit more of a harder place to start off. It wasn't so inviting of a business. I'm just guessing, as most gyms are now, is like, yeah, come on in and nice to meet you and super friendly versus, you know, we're kicking your butt the first day.
Well, where I started from was more like that. When we started Akagi, it was I was very fortunate to have a great bunch of students that started with us. And we've been fortunate that we don't have the whole meatheads that come in and want to, hey, I want to go as hard as I can. You know, that's not the type of gym that we're at. And they'll figure out, you know, they don't have to either be that person or they want to find a gym that they can be that person at. So I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by great and positive people, you know, that inspire me to want to be a better instructor and that I can learn from as well as I'm teaching them. So Kage Jiu-Jitsu has a great bunch of students. I'm very fortunate.
Surrounding yourself by great, inspiring people is this event. I mean, that's really, like, if you could sum it up, it's going to be June 9th, surrounded by great, inspiring people that do jiu-jitsu and want you to do better and have a good time and stay on the mats. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Trying to keep it non-judgmental and for anybody to feel extremely welcome to. And we have an open invite to all the gyms around. We don't want that machismo thing going on. We want everybody to understand and realize our potential as, you know, a community and how large we can grow.
Yeah, it's different, you know, trying to build a community versus build a gym, and you really get a lot more support from that community and getting people to meet each other and realize, yeah, that guy trains across town. They're not jerks. They're just like us over here. Like that, just that concept of yeah, most jiu-jitsu gyms are pretty similar. If you get along with people at one, you'll probably get along with people at the other one. And the idea of building that community as one of the goals of this event is awesome.
Heck yeah.
So it's called the Iron Axe event. What does that mean? And can you maybe describe how you came up with that?
Yeah, so the Iron Axe event was a concept that we kind of came up with where it represents the burden of war the soldier has to carry into and out of combat. And what better way to symbolize what the Iron Axe event is than to actually build an iron axe. So we actually have somebody, Jeff from Von Madrone Metalworks, forging us an iron axe that we will have on display at the event. That will be gifted to a very special someone at the event.
Well, that's cool, and I didn't think about that as the burden going to and coming back from combat. That's it's a burden that they have to that they bear, and they're doing that for us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and obviously, they are in the extreme example of that. But the iron axe is something that we can all kind of relate to in some way. I mean, everybody's got their own battle that they go through, so that's, the larger picture is that we come together. We all acknowledge that we have our battles, and that we sometimes get weary and sometimes get broken, but we're all there with each other to heal and try to figure out the next day.
Goes back to the community aspect. Mm-hmm. If you're having a tough day today or a tough month, you've got your teammates there and to hopefully help pick you up and keep you going.
Absolutely. Yeah, and especially with a lot of stuff that's going on in the news, with terrorism and the school shootings and all that kind of stuff, and just whatever. There hasn't been too much conversation about mental health, and I believe that's a giant factor to a lot of this. And I think the conversation started maybe a little bit, but to actually engage in it and to try to directly do something about it, that's kind of why this event came together, is because I thought it was a really good thing to really focus on people's mental health, trying to set up a non-judgmental environment for them to express themselves, to be inspired, and to hopefully work their stuff out with friends and family. Everybody's got a story, and everybody should have the opportunity to tell it and to heal, from it.
Yeah. Mental health is very important, and you're right, it's not often talked about. And, really any fitness will help you mentally. That's what they say, get out and do something physical to help you on the mental side of your health as well. But when you look at something like jiu-jitsu, where there's a team, where you're, like Fabio was saying, you can't think about anything else but jiu-jitsu while you're doing jiu-jitsu, while you're rolling. It takes you out of that. There's so many other aspects to jiu-jitsu that it's different than just working out. It helps you. It could help you in many different categories, as far as, you're getting sweaty. Yeah, you're with friends. Yeah, they're probably making you laugh. You're learning something. You're pushing yourself. You're getting better at something. There's so many things that jiu-jitsu brings, and an event like this just reminds us of that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, guys, I really thank you guys for stopping by. I know you have a handful of sponsors we didn't mention. If you want to give them a shout-out, that'd be great, and tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, we have KO Sports Gear.
KO Sports Gear is a local guy. We want to have some local flavors around here. So, he has gi products, wrestling products, that sort of thing. So, kosportsgear.com. He's one of the sponsors for the event. Really nice guy. We've got Mission 22, obviously, so that's for raising awareness for veteran suicide. We've got Van Madrone Metalworks for building the Iron Axe, and let me tell you, that's really cool to see him work. We've got We Defy Foundation for veterans who might be dealing with PTSD or come back injured physically and mentally, or either or. We've got Zebra Mats that are sponsoring the events as well, so that's very nice of them, because it's going to be a big event and we needed a lot of mats, and they've been great about that. Fury Things, all right, these guys are the music that we're bringing in. Fury Things, so good guys. One of them also is a jiu-jitsu guy, Andy Carson, so thank you for setting this up and hooking us up with that. Who else we got?
Lake State Kombucha.
Oh yeah, so for you healthy people, Lake State Kombucha. It's good kombucha, good flavor stuff. They've been really nice to work with. So actually, the dad started coming. The dad of the owner actually started training jiu-jitsu after we met. So he's picked it up and loves it. But Drake at Lake State Kombucha, thank you very much. This is going to be really fun working with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Guess what? There's going to be tacos.
So Flex Mash Tacos is actually he's also a jiu-jitsu guy from another gym, X2 Fitness, run by Professor Gina Franson, and but he followed his dream, said to hell with my day job, and he opened up a fantastic taco truck, and he's been kind of our official taco guy. And for the last couple of years, whenever I've put any events together, like seminars or get-togethers, things like that, and he's got more than tacos. He's got really creative menus, all that sort of thing. But Flag Smash Tacos will be at the event.
That is awesome. And just seeing that, okay, this guy trains at a different gym, but he's your taco guy. He's got a taco truck. That just shows a little bit of the value to going out and meeting the other people in the jiu-jitsu community. A taco truck, you get like the people are out there. A lot of them are already trained jiu-jitsu. Some you need to introduce, like the kombucha guy. Like, hey, check this out. And you know what? It worked out for me. It was awesome. It just shows you kind of the network you're building locally. You're not just saying you want to build community. You're doing it. And that's, I can see that in your sponsorships. That's really cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess it helps to be accepted anywhere if you make tacos.
Yeah, we've got a couple taco trucks here where I'm at, and they're really good. That's cool. One more thing. Let's just say someone's listening and they're thinking about doing this, and you know what? They don't even train. Like they've wanted to train. Something's kind of keeping them from that. What would be a piece of advice you would give them to attend an event like this for the first time?
Well, they might not be too interested in the seminar portion then, but you still might be because you have really great instructors doing the seminar portion. But I would suggest that at least go to the Superfights and watch the concert because it's entertainment based. You get to sit and watch, have some beers with your friends. But if you are a combat sports fan at all, you're going to get to see some great matches. The matchups that Fabio put together are pretty fantastic. And then the show afterwards is going to be great with Theory Things. They've played with Bob Mold. They've opened for Weezer. They're a great local talent around here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as far as the event for someone who has no clue what it is, it's set up in such a way that they can see a lot of aspects of the sport. The rule sets, pretty basic for your standard sort of rules. So we picked that because it's a standard tournament format with the rules. This way they can go, oh, there's points involved for this. It's a kind of an introduction. They can see women's matches. They can see guys' matches because there's going to be gi matches and no gi matches. So this way they get to kind of see it all as a whole instead of, coming up with, all right, it's 20 minutes submission only, and then they think that's all there is, right? So we wanted it to be accessible and understandable to a wider range than just the people who already do this. We want people who don't do it to come in and check out the show and hopefully get inspired.
Yeah, I would say, if you're new and you don't really understand the whole seminar, do the seminar anyway. You're going to be taught by a couple of legends. Like, you'll be kicking yourself when you figure out who these people are. When you figure out who Chris Howder is and Tom DeBlas is, you'll be like, I should have done that. You're going to be missing out. Maybe a lot of stuff will go over your head. This isn't a beginner class, but you still get to partner up with somebody, go over some stuff, and learn some jiu-jitsu from some people who, if you were thinking about doing basketball and guys from NBA came and were teaching you jiu-jitsu basketball, like, you'd want to do that. That's what you'd want to go see these guys teach this seminar. It's going to be great. And like you said, it's entertaining. You're going to work with some legends on the mats, and I wouldn't miss that opportunity. And I wouldn't recommend, just because you're a little on the newer side, that you wouldn't focus on it as well.
Well, and what's great about that, even if you're on the newer side, everybody's helpful because they've been the person that's been the new guy on the mat at the seminar for the first time, and they'll help you through it. It's not a big deal, and you don't have to worry, I've never done this before, or I'm no good at this. If you're new, it's literally your job to not be good. That's why you're there. You're learning. So everybody else is going to be able to help you. They're going to support you. They're going to help you learn. And you're going to learn and meet great people. Yeah,
and that's the same way from class. You're likely to learn the most of anybody because you're starting with almost nothing. you have the most to gain.
Yeah. I'm going to go with what you guys said, because my first seminar as a white belt was Higan Machado, and I still pull stuff out, that I just remembered. It's like all of a sudden the techniques make sense now,
Spider mount.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Appreciate you guys jumping on here with me. Any final thoughts or words you'd like to leave with the audience?
You should road trip and come visit.
I've been to the Twin Cities once. It's a bit of a drive. I'll be actually out of town that weekend. But yeah, are you guys planning on doing another one maybe if this is a success?
Yeah, if this is a success, we do have plans to do another flagship event like this, but also in the works we are toying with the idea of doing mini tournaments.
Cool. Well, and that's just another reason to go follow you on social media to kind of keep up with what's happening after this event.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys for hopping on here with me.
Thank you for having us.
All right, I want to thank Fabio and Steve for hopping on the line with me and talking about jiu-jitsu and the event they have coming up. If you're able to go support that, do that. And if you want to support them and aren't able to get there, you still can donate. So check out the links in the show notes for all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it would be an amazing experience to be able to go do this. For our article of the week, we have an article from evolvevacation.com. There'll be a link in the show notes. With everything else in the show notes, that's where you want to go. If you go anywhere today, go to the show notes. bjjbrick.com and then find the episode. Or on a lot of things, you pull up the app that you're playing the podcast with, and you can actually click the links right from there and get everything you need.
Do we have to turn it on first?
Gary, I'll help you turn your phone on later, man.
Okay, cool.
He's worried that he's going to get phone calls or something, but people don't call each other anymore, Gary. But the article is called 5 BJJ Tournament Tips You Must Know. And I think these are good tips, and they'll help you out. There's a lot you're going to learn that first tournament. There's a lot you're going to learn the second, third. You keep learning. But one of the big ones, the first one, is that you need to get familiar with the rules. And this is a thing that everybody makes mistakes on. You don't quite understand what's legal. You don't quite understand the scoring system, and that can come back and get you.
Didn't you say you watched a pretty high level fight last night where a guy pulled guard in a time period of the fight where that was penalized and he lost points?
No, yeah, on ACB 13. And it is on YouTube for free. The whole thing is like 5.5 hours long. Watching a match with Gordon Ryan and Vinny Magalhaes. And yeah, so it's clear that Gordon wants... It's clear that my dogs just barked. Nice. It's clear that Gordon wants to pull guard. That was me,
Byron.
It's clear that Gordon wants to pull guard and start working on his leg attack game. But he's got to get through a minute of stand-up before he can pull guard. Otherwise, they'll give his opponent 2 points. And he fights off the full minute, and they're in a few seconds into the second minute of the round. But Vinny has started a single leg, and he has it pinched between his knees for control. And he is holding it, not doing anything for 20 seconds. It was just holding the single leg in this position. And so the time ticks by, and Gordon pulls guard. And yes, they had cleared that first minute, but Vinny had started a takedown, and Gordon didn't actually defend it all the way. He neutralized it. So when he actually pulled guard, he might as well pull guard right away because he gave his opponent 2 points for the takedown being completed. And it looked a little bit awkward, and he could have defended that and got his leg free, but he didn't. He just wasn't thinking about that. And that's an example of two high level, the highest level you can get jiu-jitsu practitioners. One of them made a slight rules mistake or strategic mistake as far as, I guarantee he could have got his leg free before he pulled guard. And Vinny wasn't really being aggressive with it either. But he's like, okay, at 4 minutes left of this round, I pull guard. And 4 minutes ticked by, and he pulled guard and gave up 2 points. Knowing those rules clearly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like Vinny knew that as long as he could keep that foot where it was and and buy enough time that eventually the other guy would pull guard and he'd get 2 points out of it.
Yeah, maybe. It was an interesting match and just a strategic mistake based on the rule set.
Yep. So definitely make sure you know the rules. Don't skip the rules meeting, just so that you can get there a little bit later. The rules meeting is going to be very important. And don't forget to ask questions if you have any. The tournament organizers will definitely answer those and help you out.
I skipped the rules meeting at Fight Club last night. I'm not sure what they went over, but I'm telling you, I love Fight Club. I'm going to tell all my friends about it.
Yeah, we can tell you didn't. You don't know rule number 1 about Fight Club, Joe.
Or number 2.
Yeah.
How about point number 2 of the article?
Well, and maybe the reason why you skip the rules meeting is because you're still sleeping in.
There you go. I didn't get a good night's sleep the night before.
Oh, that could be point number 2. Get a good night's sleep.
That's important. I would actually say that you could add sleep, fuel, and hydration all kind of in the same group here. You know, those are things you really need to be focusing on 2 or 3 days before the tournament. But I imagine the author put a good night's rest because maybe that's the one that's most easily forgotten.
Yeah, and the hardest one to actually control if you are laying awake and you just can't calm yourself and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're wide awake laying in a dark room and you're getting frustrated with yourself. That's hard to deal with.
Yeah. Byron, I just got a text from one of our listeners listening to you live right now.
Sure, yeah, this is the thing.
And his question is, Dear Byron, you were just talking about getting a good night's rest, but you may be, up and awake and can't sleep. Do you think it would be a good idea if I drank so much alcohol that I actually fell asleep that way to calm my nerves and get some sleep? Would that be a smart idea to do this?
Well, everybody's different, Kerry. And if you could normally at 2 o'clock in the morning get hammered and then function, and be up at 7 o'clock the next day, I would say that's extremely a rare thing. So probably not. I think the best thing to help you sleep when you are nervous about the next day, whether it be a tournament, a job interview, or you got a date, or whatever's making you nervous, is to have some sort of a routine with your sleep. So if you the one that I think most of us have, maybe not Gary, is we brush our teeth before we go to bed. That's like a little bit of a routine. A lot of us will be checking our phones or watching the news. The phones and TV are not actually a good part of the routine, but if you maybe read a little bit of a book or do something and make it a routine, and it helps kind of just shut your body down as you go through these steps, and you're able to do that, the day before the tournament. Yes, brush your teeth. Okay, yes, I'm going to read a few pages of this book, and yes, I'm going to whatever you do to help shut yourself down. I think that will help your body get ready for sleep and get ready to be calm for the night, and ultimately help you perform better the next day. So I'm no sleep expert, but that's what I would say. Try to get as much of a sleep routine as you can, and then make that happen that night before. Don't go out partying with your teammates, and don't do anything that you're not used to doing. Try to have a normal night.
So note to self, I will start brushing my teeth, Byron.
Yeah, a lot of people even floss, Gary.
What's that?
I'll get you one for Christmas.
Hey, instead of talking about flossing, we definitely need to work on your stand-up game. Basically, your tournaments are going to start standing, and takedowns are worth some points. So definitely make sure you're familiar with stand-up game, or even if you're going to pull guard, if that's where you want to go, you're going to start standing up, so you need to know how to pull guards. So definitely don't neglect your stand-up game.
The only thing I'd add here is a note of caution. If you signed up for a tournament that's 3 or 4 weeks from now, and you're reading this and you say, I need to work on my stand-up ASAP, that's the verbiage they used here. Just work on the things that you're already familiar with. If you've been a guard puller up to this point and the tournament's 4 weeks away, it's probably a little bit late to start working your wrestler shots. Don't try and revamp your game a month before your tournament.
Good point, Joe.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I don't want to talk poorly about the group of jiu-jitsu, but a lot of people in jiu-jitsu don't have great takedown takedowns or takedown defenses. So you could actually go pretty far with a decent takedown or two. You might surprise yourself. But if you step on the mat thinking you've learned to take down 2 weeks ago and you happen to have somebody who can wrestle, who has good, like, that's not going to work at all. So it quickly becomes a bad idea for you as you give up 2 points. And yeah, you can't learn it in a week or 2 or 3, but you could polish what you have, and hopefully it's good enough to get you to the place you want to be and funnel that match to the positions you want it to end up in.
Yeah, that's good advice, Byron. So they have on here their point number 4, warm up properly. And I'm going to leave that to the listener to decide how best they want to warm up, but you do need to be warm. You need to have your body ready to perform. I would say that, as Byron mentioned, for sleeping, that if you have a routine at night, it helps. I think if you have a routine prior to competition, it helps too. It's sort of like a Pavlovian response. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pavlov's dogs.
Yeah, I got 2 of those breeds.
No, a renowned psychiatrist, scientist did an experiment where he would ding a bell and then bring the dogs some food, and he would measure the saliva increase, because when a dog starts to eat, their saliva output increases. And he found that after enough time of dinging the bell and giving the dogs food, that their body would go through the physiological changes that they would go through when they were eating, whether they ate or not. The dinging of that bell would cue their bodies to do that. Yeah,
they start salivating.
Right, and I think kind of with your warm-up routine too, if you have a routine that when you go through this routine and the very next thing you do is give it 100% on the mat, if you can do that sometimes while you're training and then do that when you're at the tournaments, I think you get the double benefit of being warmed up correctly and of also cueing your body and your mind that battle's about to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe, with the Pavlov's dogs. My side note, no stranger to the show, showing up here and there. My brother-in-law did this to his mother, and he would ring a bell like on his computer or something like that, make a ding sound, and then he'd bring her an Oreo. And I think he did, I don't know how many days or hours, whatever. Eventually, he rang the bell, and she got up and got an Oreo on her own. So that's kind of funny. But there's a lot going on. But that's a good point about having your body help control just by warming up is getting you in that state of mind. And
did your brother-in-law tell your mom or tell his mom about that? Like,
yeah, it was a joke for a long time afterwards. Yeah. About how we got her with the Pavlov's dog trick. But warming up is important. And so if anything, it'll make you less nervous. If you're having nervous energy, warm up a little bit. It's important to warm up at the correct time. So if you get there at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7, whatever, early in the morning, and you don't know when your match is, be a little cautious of getting warmed up right away, because you might be competing at night. It might be 8 o'clock at night, and you've been warmed up the whole day. That's a mistake. So it's really good information to figure out where you're going to be and when it's going to happen, and try to adjust your warm up accordingly. And it's great if you can have a warm up routine. If you have a teammate, kind of go through a routine with them. If you're getting it by yourself because your teammate's competing at the same time, you got to be able to do some sort of warm up by yourself. And it'll help you be ready. Like Joe says, it's telling your body it's time to do some jiu-jitsu here, and we're gonna do our best.
The last point: bring 2 sets of everything. Basically, gis tear, shorts tear, no gis stuff tears. Know the rules, because you got to make sure you're about patches, length of your pants, length of your arms and your gi. And for individuals like Byron's got a really bad case of IBS. And he basically has to bring, 2 pairs of underwear. I mean, he's had accidents happen before and had to switch mid-competition. So definitely make sure you're prepared. Be a Boy Scout.
Yep, that's why I'm always going to have a large bag with me. Has all my stuff in there that I might need or try to get cleaned off from.
Yeah, and then you always have that bag so you can take the soiled stuff out. But, so it's always good to have.
And it might just come down to you loaning somebody. So, a lot of times something like that will happen to me, and Gary's got an extra pair of gi shorts that I could use his, but he always makes me wash them afterwards.
Well, and the bad part is they look really funny on you because there's a lot of space in the front of the shorts.
Oh,
12-year-old Gary.
Yeah, it's hard to borrow Gary's no geek. Oh, when I give it back, there'll be space in the back.
So definitely check out that article. We have a link to it on the show notes. 5 BJJ tournament tips you must know from evolve/vacation.com.
Yep. Hey, guys, I want to give a shout out to our newest Patreon supporters, Christopher, Paul, and Adam. Man, that is awesome. We really thank all of you Patreon supporters, and just definitely want to call out the newer ones. What they're doing is they're listening to the podcast and they're saying, hey, I want to make this better. I want to help these guys out and keep them doing what they're doing. And so there's a link in the show notes. Go to Patreon, and they're supporting the show. Like $1 an episode is pretty typical. If you think the show is worth $1 this week, you could do that. And at the end of the month, if there's 4 or 5 episodes, whatever, your card will be charged that, and that money goes to us and helps us do what we're doing and getting better and producing a higher quality show and doing things that we couldn't have done without the funds. It really helps make this a lot easier. Also, when you do that, there's a space for your address. We're not going to send you a bunch of junk mail. Probably not by our standards anyway. I'll quickly mail you out a 5-inch BJJ Brick gi patch. And
doesn't that gi patch have a picture of you and Gary on it, Byron?
Yes, it does.
Junk mail.
Dang it. The sticker has
firewood.
Yeah. We also send a sticker with that. You can post it anywhere you want. And the sticker doesn't have our picture, but it says BJJ Brick Podcast on there. Real cool sticker designed by our friend Taylor here locally. And also, if you're on Facebook and you're on our Patreon team there, send me an email, bjjbrick@gmail.com, and I'll get you added to our private Facebook group where sometimes I'll ask, hey, I'm interviewing this person, what should I ask them? And it's a good way to kind of get involved with the show. Sometimes we'll have, I think even when we designed the sticker, I put up a couple different sticker designs and people were commenting on them and giving us some feedback. And also, fairly recently, Gary posted a funny video on his Facebook page, and I posted it back onto the group's Facebook page and said Gary was teaching this as a martial arts defense, and it was people pointing.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was people pointing their hands like guns and saying bang, and people kind of had fun poking at Gary. Hey, if you want to make fun of Gary, that's a great place to go to. He's there, and he's going to have fun in the private Facebook group. So that's kind of what we have. If you want to support the podcast, we typically it's $1 an episode. You get to choose, and you can also limit it. If you want to do 4 episodes per month, that's very generous of you, and we appreciate you guys. Definitely giving a shout out to Adam, Paul, and Christopher as our newest Patreon supporters. Thanks, guys, for signing up and sending us your support.
Hey, you know what we ought to do? We ought to see if there's any Patreon supporters who are free to travel sometime in the next month or two, or maybe they're around the Wichita area, and we should try and get them together.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, maybe like June 22, 23, 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about here? How about in Wichita?
Yes, June 22, 23, 24, the BJJ Brick Experience in Wichita, Kansas. You going to be there, Gary?
I am definitely going to be there. There's no way I'm going to miss the Omoplata Palooza.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. June 22nd is going to be a Friday. It'll be in the evening, basically open mat and a lot of rolling. And it'd be great to get some, just to start the weekend off right, I guess would be the way to say that. Have a good evening together and get some mat time. And I think Tim Sled and Rolly Delgado both come in on Friday, so that'd be really cool. Hopefully they'll be there for that. Tim Sled and Rolly Delgado will be in town, and they're going to be teaching jiu-jitsu on the 23rd. And 2 world-class coaches teaching and sharing their jiu-jitsu and their passion with us, and really excited to be part of that. on the 24th, it's going to be the BJJ Brick crew teaching you some of our favorite jiu-jitsu. And I'm really pumped about that and excited to be given an opportunity to kind of share some things I'm passionate about on the mat with you guys. I mean, it's just, we meet every week in audio format, and if you look at our YouTube channel, we're not putting techniques out there. There's a lot of techniques out there, but...
Well, that's because we actually don't train.
Gary, keep it down. But, I mean, there's so much out there, but in-person teaching is something that I've always been excited about, and given this opportunity on the 24th, I'm very excited for this, to be able to share some of the stuff I like to do on the mat, and Gary and Joe, and just spend the day learning jiu-jitsu together. It's going to be outstanding. And so it's the whole weekend. And I'm looking at possibly doing a live recording of a podcast. I'll try to get this figured out, but I've basically figured out where we can get kind of a medium-sized room. And, I don't know if there'll be a lot of people there, or if there'll be, the three of us or what. But it'd be kind of neat to get together and record and have a bit of an audience, and have them, send us a couple questions, or I guess not send us, but just ask us a couple questions, and we'll deal with that. Maybe be a topic episode, and just see what it's like to do a kind of a live show. I know there'll be some technical challenges, but I'm up for that. And that's one of the options. Maybe go out to a comedy club in one of the evenings and have some good laughs. We're looking for some off-the-mat things, and those are a couple things that are popping up as pretty simple opportunities. Oh, and I recently got a message from one of our Patreon supporters, Mindy. She's from Kansas City, and she'll be making it to the event. And she just wanted to let all the other women out there know that, yes, there will be some women in attendance. So if you're kind of on the fence and like, well, is it going to be all guys? Absolutely not. There'll be several women there, including our Patreon supporter and friend, Mindy. And my wife is going to be there as well. So there'll be a good mix. And I know that several of the women from Fox Fitness are going to be in attendance. So there'll be a lot going on there. And if you're worried about being the only female there, that won't be the case.
Here at the end of the show, we always do a audio book that really never gets published. But Byron really wanted to have an audio book that he was going to, have as open it up on that weekend, groundbreaking event for his audio book. And Joe and I, we've really been excited about it. And the title of Byron's audio book is How I Am Able to Roll with IBS and Keep My Opponents Happy. Keep my training partners happy. And Byron, we just talked about this a little bit earlier when we talked about the article about, bring two of everything. It's got to be a challenge, trying to roll all the time with severe IBS.
Yeah, the irritable bowel syndrome is what we're referring to.
So, tell us a little bit about your book and, some of the challenges you had, because I remember you said when you thought about this, I mean, a lot of people told you, no pun intended, but it was a stinky topic. Yeah,
it's really not going to be a very big selling book, because the population for this condition and that also like to train jiu-jitsu is pretty small. But I really want to help out the people that are afflicted with this. And I think I caught it from Gary. I'm not sure.
Hey, Byron, as I'm looking it up, it's not catchable. You don't transport it to other people.
I think the word you're looking for is contagious, Gary. We'll go with catchable.
Catchable, contagious. They both start with a C, Joe.
Joe's good with the big words. And the main focus of the book is to just get you out there doing your thing and not sharing your thing with anybody else, or the things that happen on the mat. And I don't want to give away all the details, but it does involve some very tight shorts underneath your regular shorts.
What about, you were saying the charcoal that you put in your gi pants, so when you do have an episode that it kind of dispels the smell?
Yeah, that's chapter 17. And this one, what Gary just described is 100% inaccurate, because this is an excuse. When somebody, this happened to me and Gary. I was rolling with Gary, and Gary's like, "Oh, what's that?" I said, "Don't worry, Gary. That's just charcoal," and he believed it. Joe is really excited about one of the latter chapters in the book, I can't think of anything as far as the chapter. Joe is really excited about one of the latter chapters in the book. It's proper care of your gi when you get home, and basically they sell gis in all different colors, and this has really changed the way that Joe's been on the mat as well.
Yeah, you guys know how they put that little insert in the crotch. Sometimes it's maybe a stretchable material or different color. Karate pants used to have it so you could do the high kicks.
Yeah, the Chuck Norris pants.
Yeah, that's
talking about a stretchable crotch.
That's not really what that's for. It's a special absorbing material and odor masking material. At least the gi pants that I have that are designed like that, that's how they work. And yeah. I got those gi pants based on a suggestion from Byron. I think he innovated that.
Yeah.
And Byron, I think you were really going to go jiu-jitsu with this. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who have this issue and haven't wanted to get out on the mats, and you're a pioneer.
Yeah.
You're definitely a pioneer in this.
Well, it's hard to tell, but I made large gi patches that said I have IBS and put them on the back of the gi, kind of below the belt line there. But nobody bought it.
But the good thing about that, though, when you've done that, I noticed everybody you've actually got to a triangle once you put that patch on your pants there.
Yeah.
Everybody's tapped really quick, so it works.
Yeah, that helps. I guess I hadn't noticed a correlation with that. My triangle that tighter, but now that you say that, you're right.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, check this book out when it is published, which will be shortly after we all quit jiu-jitsu, which is never.
Yeah. Byron, you ever think about calling it IBS BJJ?
Gary, that's a terrible name. It's BJJ IBS, okay?
Oh, okay, yeah.
You got to rank a little higher in the search engine for BJJ. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I like it was a good idea, but you're just backwards on it.
Well, I'm backwards on a lot of stuff. Except the charcoal in my pants.
There you go. Or the excuse of the charcoal in your pants. Quick shout out to our Facebook community. It's growing. Joe's done a lot of stuff as far as talking with the people there, and I'm always interested in the conversation that's happening on our Facebook fan page. Go check it out and like it if you show up. We'd like to have you back. A lot of conversation there. Our YouTube channel is also growing quite a bit, putting the shows up there and getting lots of more content as far as like questions and answers, answers to common questions and those sort of things. Product reviews as well. If you want to download our app, that's an easy way to listen to the podcast. So if you don't have a dedicated podcast app that you like to use, go look for BJJ Brick in your app store and download it there. And it's a good way to introduce somebody to podcasting as far as if they don't really know what it is. A lot of times when they get about Gary's age, they don't really understand podcasting. And and just giving them the app and letting them download the podcast through that makes it super easy. That's the whole design of that.
And make sure to tune in next week for a topical episode. We'll be talking about small versus big jiu-jitsu. And Gary, you're the resident expert on small. Tell us what we can expect.
Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that
Gary,
comment.
You gave me IBS.
Well, I don't think it's catchable, Byron.
Well, you diagnosed me with it.
No, yeah, we're definitely going to have a great topic episode next week. Small versus big jiu-jitsu. Small people moves, big people moves. What's the difference and things from there. Or we could say it's about small IBS versus big IBS.
There's a big difference. But really, I think we're all kind of on the medium size of weight classes. So you think, well, that's pretty much worthless. But really, I roll with people that are much bigger than me, and I roll with people that are much smaller than me. And it gives me kind of the framework is kind of my perspective. We all have different journeys. And if you're really small or really big, that'll affect your journey as far as your experiences on the mats. And I think that we'll have an interesting conversation about that. And I know we've all grappled with those monsters, and we've all grappled with children, and people that are really small. And it's important to be able to get good rolls with everybody. I want to give a quick programming note. We do the BJJ Brick extra episode, and initially we would do it on the first day of the month, which I guess it was my idea. What a good idea. Well, every first day of the month, we'll...
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that is a terrible idea. Because a lot of times...
Remember when we tried to tell him that, Gary?
Yep. Just went in one ear, out the other.
Well, a lot of things do that. You just be glad you're not married to me. But eventually...
I would never marry anybody with an IBS problem like that.
Eventually, the idea resurfaced, I guess, and it'd be better if it was like the first Friday of that first week opposed, because every Monday, you guys know it, the BJ Brick podcast comes out, and that'll keep the first of the month from actually landing on a Monday or on a Tuesday or a Sunday, and I end up scrambling to get these all put together on time. It'll give me a few days to work with just to kind of get everything pieced together. So we're looking at probably, I don't know, maybe Friday, we're looking at my work week, kind of when things, and my wife's work week, when I'm going to have time to go edit podcast. Hoping to do the first Friday of the week will be the BJ Brick extra episode, and Mondays as usual. So looking forward to doing that.
You know, I imagine the listeners probably wondering right now why Joe and Gary can't help with some of that work. But, man, we're just here for eye candy, right, Gary? We're just here for our looks.
Yeah, we're just here for our looks. And the other reason we can't really help with the editing and all that, like Joe says, is because most of it is done in the bathroom with that terrible IBS problem. And, you know, we don't want to bring more, you know, bathrooms aren't very big and we don't have a lot of space in there. Like right now, Byron's probably in the bathroom recording this.
And that's one of the main reasons why Gary always wants us to shower. Well, now that I got that wrapped up and flushed away, stay sweaty, my friends.
Don't forget to brush your teeth every night during the routine.
Hey, take a shower. Train hard, train smart, and get better.
See you on the mats.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
So the event is called the Iron Axe event. Man, I kind of butchered that. The event is called the Iron Axe. Okay.
You know, bathrooms aren't very big and we don't have a lot of space in there. Like right now, Byron's probably in the bathroom recording this.
And that's one of the main reasons why Gary always wants us to shower.
You know what you need to do is, when I said that, put in a flush.
Okay, I will. I'll go back and edit a flush in there for you, Gary.
No, then maybe nobody will listen to us.
Thanks so much for checking out this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Check us out next week. And don't forget to check out the archives at bjbrick.com or on this YouTube channel.